Hey everyone, it's Andrew Maximov here, CEO and co-founder of Payload, the software that lets you plan and execute satellite missions for your business without leaving your office. Um, Last time I posted a video about why I personally think that every enterprise company will have their own satellite by 2026. And of course, it's like a bold vision, blah, blah, blah. And I started to get a lot of questions and inquiries about why, why I think it is coming to us, what are the early examples of that. And I wanted to make a video, a series of short videos on the examples of the applications and examples of the case studies that I already see becoming in reality. And today I wanted to share the first study, the first video of those series that will be about car manufacturing companies and why car manufacturing companies are seriously considering having their own satellite constellations in the next 5 years. So I had an interesting chat with the corporate venture capital arm of pretty large conglomerates of car manufacturing companies. And that, I think, was the first glimpse into the world of autonomous vehicles. And that got me thinking about this more and more. I'll also post a few more links related to that, to the project. So, for example, in China, one of the companies, car manufacturing companies, already opens the satellite manufacturing facility to complement their fleet of autonomous vehicles in the future. But let's look at why it is becoming a reality and why traditional car manufacturing companies are considering space segment as their next frontier. So first of all, we all know that car manufacturing is all about investing huge investments into factories, and it's all about making hundreds of thousands and millions of the cars that must differ very little. So you need to have as many repeatable process in your plant as possible, right? And um, this corporate VC arm of the car manufacturing companies, their horizon for investing or the question that they're trying to answer is what technologies do we need to invest now for them to become ubiquitous for our future in 10 to 12 years, right? And of course, in that kind of horizon, they understand that it's not going to be all about in electric cars, it's going to be about autonomous cars. And funny enough, in autonomous cars, the main concern is about connectivity, but it's not about connectivity to fast internet to the navigation and guidance, because even today, the navigation guidance can be done through the onboard processing of the information from the cameras and lidars, right? But it's about streaming the content and videos and Netflix to the autonomous vehicle while it's driving autonomously to keep passengers and drivers entertained and busy during their time in the vehicle, right? So in this kind of scenario, it's interesting that once you leave the urban area, you cannot really rely on cell towers. So it's not the case today, and it won't be the case in the future. Meaning that regardless of what you have on those cell towers, the 5G or 6G or 7G or whatever happens in the next decade, you still need to have like everywhere you need to have the cell towers that provide you connectivity, right? So that's where naturally you can't rely on that. So you will eventually lose a signal and then be downgraded to 2G, right? Even today, if you drive like 100 miles north of San Francisco, your connection quality will drop to 2G, not even 3G, right? And that's where naturally the car manufacturing companies are looking at a space segment and all those satellite constellations that can provide the internet connection to the cars. And of course, there's Starlink. Of course, there are companies like OneWeb and other startups who provide that kind of connectivity, but they're not tailored to cars and cars use cases. B, remember when we discussed about the fact that it must be a repeatable process, it means that you have to integrate the flat antenna in the roof of your future cars and do the necessary tooling and design the process in manufacturing in the car manufacturing plant. It means that you have to lock your connectivity solution in someone else's ecosystem for almost like a decade at least, right? So design your manufacturing facilities and tooling around that. And what if the company goes bankrupt, or what if that company um, decides also to work with a competition, right? So that's where also all these car manufacturing companies, they do have very big cash reserves, and they're looking at the question of, hey, what's how long will it take, and what kind of capital investments do we need to do if we want to have our own constellation of satellites that will be connected to our fleet of autonomous vehicles. And maybe we can spread the cost among 2 or 3 major car manufacturers. And this is the type of thinking that they have. And they are pretty seriously considering that, and spending 5 billion, 7 billion of capital expenditure over a decade or over 7 years doesn't seem like a fantasy for them. It's like a feasible product that they're seriously looking into. So this is where I see, between Amazon and SpaceX doing Project Kuiper and Starlink respectively, um, they are the pioneers of that notion of having your own satellites, even if you're not a space business. And I think the big transnational enterprises like car manufacturers will be a second wave of early adopters of the idea of enterprises having their own satellites. So this is again the first example. I have at least two more that I heard of, and today I wanted to share this first one. Thanks for watching.